this meeting, the King George Board of Supervisors, to order.
I'll call to order the King George County Board of Directors from the Service Authority. I almost said supervisors to order.
Please stand for the invocation led by Supervisor Bender, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please, Lord, guide us all in our decision-making tonight and to make sure our words are thought of very carefully and that we always think of the citizens and keep them in our number one thoughts. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Are there any amendments to the agenda? None? All right. At this time, we'll open the floor up for public comment. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person to afford everyone a chance to speak. Please state your full name and the district in which you vote. If you don't live here, just state where you're from. And so we can have for the properly for the records. First up, I have Pastor Sherman Davis.
Thank you, Board of Supervisors. I'm from the voting in the Dalgren District, and my name is Sherman Davis. I'd like to read to you some scripture tonight. It's not very popular verses in the Bible, but they are in the Bible, and they are real and they're true. It's kind of where we are today in America. But in Romans chapter number 1, the Bible says, "For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who hold the truth in unrighteousness, because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God has showed it unto them." Verse 21 says, "Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish hearts was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools." Verse 24, "Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of God into a lie, and worshiped and served the creature more than the Creator. For this cause God gave them up unto vile affections, for even their women did change the natural use unto that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one towards another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, receiving in themselves the recompense of their error which was met. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to reprobate mind, to do the things which are not convenient, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy." The scripture says murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boastful, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affections, implacable, unmerciful, who knowing the judgment of God, they which commit such things are worthy of death. Not only do them same, but have pleasure in them that do them. It's almost like watching the news, and I don't see a clock, so I don't know where I'm at. 30 seconds. Okay, I can whistle for 30 seconds. But I don't have to go the whole time. But anyway, it's just a warning in God's Word that we need to pay attention to what's going on. We could be very close to the coming of the Lord, and if you're not ready to meet Him, it's a good time to get ready. There's no time like the present time. There's some things that God don't know. He don't know anybody He doesn't love. He don't know a sin He doesn't hate. He don't know a better plan of salvation than what He already has. And He don't know a better time to get saved if you're not saved than right now. Amen. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. Arn?
Evening, Supervisors. My name is Arn Eliason. I'm from James Madison District. A few months ago, it was suggested by a couple of supervisors that I attend the Tri-County and City Soil and Water Conservation District. I've been to a few of the meetings now, and at the last meeting, I was approved as a representative from King George County. I will be attending their annual meeting in Williamsburg this year to learn more about it and to find out the mechanisms that are in place to have an influence on preserving our water and our soil. I hope to report back to you all on things that might be of interest to the supervisors and to the county at large. And I thank you all for suggesting that I attend and putting my name forward. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. Thank you, Arn. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak?
Thank you, Chairman Davis. So we talked about this last night, and so Brian Metz, I'm the supervisor-elect for James Monroe District, reside at Overlook Drive. So good evening, Mr. Chairman and supervisors. So a little bit about me. To start off with, please don't let this be the final chapter in the recent election. It's merely an introduction. My contact info is available for everyone, and I encourage constituents and stakeholders to reach out. One thing I found campaigning is that good ideas became great ideas after receiving feedback. I'm a big supporter of constructive criticism, key word there being constructive. Some background about me, first and foremost, I'm a husband, a father, resident here in Fairview Beach, and we have a child that has grown up here in the schools in King George. I grew up farming in Central Virginia. I've spent a career as an engineer spanning from industrial controls to now delivering systems for the Navy. My biggest leadership role included more than 700 staff and several $100 million a year. That gave me a good basis to talk to large organizations about setting metrics, measuring performance, and clearly articulating goals. Our winning platform coming out of this election is to focus on how we and our children's generation can afford to work and live here in King George. That means continuing to address water bills. Can't get through an election without talking about water. But also focusing on strategic, appropriately cited growth. Lastly, I'm committed to respect, that is respect for citizens, staff, stakeholders, and my fellow members, meaning I will do my best to communicate our constraints and rationale for decisions. We all want what's best for King George. I'm looking for affordable solutions, as I alluded to last night at the budget work session. I look for what efficiencies we can implement that allow us to retain and focus our great staff while attracting the best industry and jobs. Sincerely look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Is there anyone online? Any correspondence? All right. I will close public comment at this time, and we will move to reports of the members of the board. Ms. Bender?
I get to be first this time. All right, I want to start off to give you a little fun fact and to thank all those that came out and voted for all of our candidates and for those in the Shiloh district who voted for me and supported me, even without an opponent or not. I feel that over 8 years, I kind of earned that a little bit in showing that I look out for the citizens of Shiloh. I would have welcomed an opponent, but it's all good. But I do want to point out the fun fact, I am the first female supervisor to be elected 3 times. So I just wanted to put that out in the public because I think that's pretty cool. So the next thing I would like to talk about, we've had a citizen, and several citizens over the years, talk to us about a barking dog noise ordinance. And I did reach out to our county attorney, and he is looking at several other localities and tailing it to King George. But in the next couple of meetings after he talks to our county administrator and our board chair, of presenting some options that we can look at. So I know that the citizen that is really passionate about this, and he is rightfully so. I just wanted to tell you on the record that it will be coming up in a future board meeting with some possible options for the board to look at. So that was the first thing. Also, Mr. Davis and I did go to VACO over the past week. It's kind of surprising. It was a week ago. But as you know, the VACO is the Virginia Association of County Officials. I serve on their board of directors and on several other, like the Budget Committee and a couple of their steering commissions, like the Environment, Energy, and Land Use Steering Committee. Some of the very important things they brought up is they kind of gave us a preview of what's coming in the with the legislature session and the many things that might be coming at us. A lot of bills that were vetoed by Governor Youngkin will probably be reintroduced and might be passed. One of them might take away our ability to say no to any solar projects and would make it go to a siting board, which as VACO and myself, and I know my other colleagues, we don't like that the state taking away control of looking at each project individually and assessing it to the county's needs and on its merits. But that is a possibility. Other possibilities are making it mandatory in the comp plan to have an energy use plan with metrics and goals that we would have to, for solar, wind, all the different options that we would have to possibly abide by and report by the state. Another one is affordable housing, setting target goals for each community that we would have to follow, and they would also be in the comp plan with metrics. One other thing, we're talking a lot about energy. I went up to several of the, one on the budget, the future budget, that what it looks like for the next couple of years, and then on energy. There was a big emphasis on to feed the big monster that we call data centers and AI, that we have to make available every option to support that and the customers and other industrial or commercial users, with every option open: SMR, solar, wind, nuclear, fusion, which they're trying out in Chesterfield County. That's a new concept. The first plant is they talked very glowingly about that from Chesterfield County. That was a big win for them and their economic development staff. But I'm going to bring up solar again because I wanted to give you another fun fact, and this came from one of the supervisors from Loudoun County. His name is Mike Turner. He has kind of recognized across the United States in the last year and a half as being an expert, especially on energy, since Loudoun County is kind of the birthplace of the data center industry in the hot place where there's over 200 data centers currently. He put out a peak load of 100 megawatt data center would require 500 acres of solar panels, delivering an average power of 24%, and the data center would require 2,000 acres of solar panels. 200 data centers in Loudoun County at 100 megawatts per data center equals 400,000 acres of solar panels. The total Loudoun County land mass is 333,000 square miles. So just put that, or not 3,333,000 acres, not square miles. So just put that in perspective. He had a whole presentation you can geek out on online. It is available on the Loudoun County website. So with that being said, I'm going to bring back something that was brought up, and it was the Daisy Lane and the reassessment. I want to challenge my colleagues to reach out to the resident who owns the easement, because her story is quite different than the one that we heard up at this podium. And there is an easement on the property going back to 1908. This is for a 10-foot easement, and from what I've gathered so far, I haven't been able to go to the courthouse to do some research yet, but that easement goes back to 1908, kind of when all the parcels were part of one parcel. And from my understanding, there is another availability to use that they have a right-of-way already, but unfortunately, it would be a little costly. So this is probably an easier way to do it, is to go through this residence property. She's actually my constituent. The land she has, she owns with her I think it's her mom. I think her father has passed away. And so she's my constituent. So I'm just going to make a comment about, she called me today very upset because she was sent a letter from Dominion Energy wanting her to immediately sign an easement for right-of-way on her land for underground lines, kind of for the greater good. And one of the things I want to close with is something I feel very passionate about. We as a board need not to set up the chessboard to have a checkmate on our citizens. And I want everyone to hear that might be calling for any project. Citizens do come first. We always talk about private property rights. Those selling the land and developing land have rights, but also the citizens that are affected. So thank you.
Mr. Stroud.
Can I go last, sir?
Yes. Lee, you want to go?
Sure, just briefly, I want to thank everybody for coming out. Arn, congratulations on your nomination. Look forward to hearing some more from you as, water is continually just the equivalent of gold in this nation anymore. Supervisor-elect Metz, glad to hear you speak tonight. Welcome aboard. Glad to hear about your background. That was, I didn't know some of that, and I know you and I have had opportunities to work together in the past. And industrial controls and farming, all things that will be highly valuable in the water field here with us in the near future. So thanks for coming this evening, and look forward to working with you. That's all I got for right now, sir. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Collins?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Ms. Bender spoke of the election. Thank you all for not voting for me. I appreciate that. Welcome, Mr. Metz, and I wish you the best of luck. If you need anything, don't call me. Joking. I'll give you anything I have or anything you need that I have. That's all I have.
All right. Mr. Sullins?
Hey, thanks everybody for coming out tonight, especially with it being cold and rainy and yucky like that. Arn, I echo what he said about the congratulations. I'm glad that we'll be able to work with you. That's cool. Brian, welcome to the dais, as it is tonight. Yeah, but welcome aboard. Looking forward to working with you. Not much to report. Just a couple of face-to-face meetings with some of our neighbors over the last few Saturdays. Just throwing that invitation out there again. Happy to meet y'all at IHOP or Galley's or wherever you want. Had our initial budget meeting last night, and that's really about it to report this time. So thanks again.
Mr. Stroud?
Thank you, sir. So I believe there's something I failed to report the last meeting regarding, I attended on 24 October, the Crisis Receiving Center dedication with Governor Youngkin. That was over in Fredericksburg. And I learned that in that event that we have a Hope Starter Rappahannock Community Services Board mobile clinic here in King George. And it's actually at my church, at Tabernacle Baptist Church, Tuesdays 9 to 3 p.m. The Crisis Receiving Center, the dedication ceremony is supposed to open, it's expected to open in the spring of 2027. It's a 80,000 square foot, 24/7 state-of-the-art facility that will be capable of housing 38 patients and 16 children. So Senator Tara Durant was critical in helping this come to fruition. And there were a lot of sheriffs and law enforcement there, and I mean, and just hearing some of the stories there, I learned things I didn't know. But our sheriff's deputies are the ones that are most often the first ones to deal with these type of crises. And so I guess I'm blessed. I know I'm blessed, but I'm blessed that you know, I didn't really know about them or know much about them until this meeting. But this facility is really important because, and it's really important to King George, because people who undergo in these type of crises, whenever they go to a hospital, hospitals aren't really equipped or to deal with these things. And if you go to a hospital and you sit 4 hours in an emergency room, it really doesn't help these type of situations. So we really do need somewhere, and our deputies, I mean, the law enforcement that deal with these, they need somewhere to take these people, these individuals, because I guess oftentimes being with the family isn't the right place. So this is it's a good deal. It's going to be open in the spring of 2027, and just hearing some of the things that happen now, I realize how important it is. So from the last meeting also, you know, I went back and listened to it because I know that you know, I spent some time talking about the what is the green energy venture proposal to go in the industrial area, and I also spoke to Arn and apologized to him personally because even though he's the one that pulled the string, my remarks, the majority of my remarks weren't directed at him. It was directed towards people in the community, some outside the community, who don't necessarily see the industrial area as an industrial area. So, Arn, wasn't trying to, you know, be hard on you. It was more just trying to, you know, I guess, get people to understand some things there, the way that we have to deal with it and we have to look at it. Also, I do know that I can be direct sometimes, so I can't do much about that. You know, that's probably the Marine Corps part of me. But that's all I got to say, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Brian, thanks. Look forward to getting started. Have they set you up an orientation yet, when it's gonna happen? All right, good. We did kick off last night, something, I don't think that we've done it before. Most of the time when the budget season starts, come January, we begin to dig into those things. And so we started our budget season. I've been kind of pushing this year to start the budget season just a little bit early so we can kind of get a feel from all the departments. From the only people we didn't meet with was the schools. We get an idea of what theirs is gonna cost. It always kind of goes up, so we kind of know where it is. But we met with all departments and just kind of seeing where some of their needs were going to be at, and we're getting there's a lot of stuff. You know, with inflation goes with everything, right? And you got your police officers, their cost of living goes up, and firefighters, their cost of living goes up, and then on top of that, they have other needs that they have, and you hate to lose good people. And so you want people that are working for your county to make a good living, but we have to figure out how we're going to pay that bill, you know. So we get emails all the time, and the emails are, we want this park taken care of, and do this to this park, and pay our this and pay this, and they end it with, and keep our taxes low. You know, it's just, you know. And by the way, don't have any data centers, and don't do this and don't do that, but keep us rural, but pay all the people what they need to get paid. So it's a big thing, and we kind of had that feeling coming in, so we started out a little bit early. I did go to VACO, as Ms. Bender said, and just had I spent a lot of my time with a couple of different vendors, and really with the Northern Neck people. That was my goal of going down. I'd said beforehand that when I went down there that I wanted to, you know, this board's really been concentrating, especially me as chair, is building this relationship with the Northern Neck counties and seeing how we can come together and help solve each other's problems. You know, and they've really, from their words to me, is we really look up to King George County. And, you know, they're not, I mean, they really are just looking for a way just to partner with us to solve things, and what can we bring to our community, and that they can go there, as opposed to going through us to go somewhere else, like Fredericksburg and things like that. And it's good. It's just good to team up with them. It's been years and years since we've really just embraced the Northern Neck as being our identity and kind of who we are, and our rural way of life and our core values and things of that nature. I did get a few calls this week, really over the past couple of weeks, and you know, maybe the past months even, just about what kind of ordinances that we have in place for people that don't take care of their property. And I'm not talking about like HOA, like someone doesn't cut the grass. I'm talking about we have a business. Someone wants to rent that business to a government contractor, but the business beside it is abandoned, and there's metal, and there's washers and dryers and stuff stacked up on a major road when people are driving through. So potential tenants come in, they look next door and go, do we really, you know, what can we do about that? And so right now, the only option we really have is to go over and say, can you please, you know, clean it up? So I have asked our staff to look into what we can do to, you know, this board is really big on property rights for our citizens and things of that nature, but it's also, if your property and what you're doing to it is embedding the happiness or hurting the happiness of the people beside you and hurting their business to where they can't bring in tenants, we have to be able to look at those things and just come up with some common sense solutions. So that's some other things that we're kind of pitching around and talking about. I just want to thank my board for a good year. Mr. Collins is coming to the end of his term. I just want to thank Mr. Collins for all he's done for the county, whether they love him or hate him, or somewhere in between. His heart has always been in the right place to do what's best for King George County. I do believe that, you know, and whether you agree with everything he does or not, he is a friend of ours, and And I just thank him for his service, and he's gonna be missed, but I think he'll still be around. You know, we'll still bump into him along the way, but I just appreciate you and all your service, and I'll continue to echo that. So at this time, I will close the reports, members of the board, and we'll move on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? By roll call, Mr. Stroud?
Aye.
Ms. Bender?
Aye.
Mr. Collins? Mr. Sullins?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion passes. Do we have any constitutional officers here that would like to speak? I don't see any. All right. Quick meeting tonight, it appears, except for you, Kathy. You packed it on tonight, it appears.
Yes, we
So
do.
I will pass it on to you, the Board of Directors.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion on the consent agenda of the Board of Directors?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion properly seconded. Any discussion? All right, by roll call vote, Mr. Robotham?
Aye.
Mr. Collins? Mr. Sullins?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. First up, we have no public hearings, and now we have Mr. Bryce Young, who is going to be the star of our show. First up is SA 1104, RK&K Construction Administration Services Proposal for Perkins Corner Wastewater Treatment Plant Decommissioning Project. That's a mouthful. Go ahead, Mr. Young.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. I'm presenting change order number 1 for the King George Wastewater Improvement Design Services. This change order includes professional assistance with change order reviews, monthly progress meetings, periodic site visits, funding compliance, final inspections, as-built, and closeout documentation. These additional services are eligible to be funded by ARPA. Staff recommended action is to authorize Service Authority General Manager to execute change order 1 to the agreement with RK&K in the amount of $147,485. Staff recommends moving on this action to prevent any costly delays in construction.
And also, too, with this project, this goes to consent order that we have to decommission that plant by January 1st of 2027.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions? Mr. Sullins?
Mr. Young, I know you talked to each one of us individually offline. Can you share the background with the public on this, on why we have these change orders coming up?
When this project was first bid out, it was the decision of the previous county engineer to go for construction administrative later on instead of doing it in the beginning. So now we are having to do the construction administrative.
Thank you.
Mr. Sullins, do you have any other questions on that? Does anybody else have any questions? No? All right. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we authorize the Service Authority General Manager to execute change order number 1 to the King George Wastewater Improvement Design Services Agreement with Rummel, Klepper, and Call, RK&K, in the amount of $147,485, subject to the approval of the county attorney.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
I have a motion properly seconded. Any discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
So here we are again, change order for $147,000. So I thought we got away from this, everything's a change order. Whether I would think that this service would have been provided in the original contract, but obviously it wasn't. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. I'm going to do by roll call vote. Mr. Robotham?
Actually, can we have one more question?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Sullins.
Did you draft that contract?
I did not.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
And just for clarification, Mr. Young, that was back 2023 or
That
earlier?
was late part of 2021.
Okay, so that's even further back.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to do by roll call vote. Mr. Robotham?
Aye.
Mr. Collins?
Nay?
Mr. Sullins?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Next up is SA 1105, RK&K Construction Administration Services Proposal for Perkins Corner Decommissioning Force Main and Water Main Project.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. I'm presenting change order number 2 for the King George Hop Yard to Courthouse Interconnection Construction Administration Services. Staff recommended action is to authorize the Service Authority General Manager to execute change order number 2 to the agreement with RK&K. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped the information part. This change order includes professional services with change order reviews, monthly progress meetings, periodic site visits, funding compliance review, inspections, as-built, and closeout documentation. Half of the additional services are eligible to be funded by ARPA. Staff recommended action is to authorize the Service Authority General Manager to execute change order 2 to the agreement with RK&K in the amount of $94,907. Staff recommends moving on this action to prevent any costly delays in construction.
How much was it? How much?
$94,907.
Mr. Solms?
Once again, can you give us the background on this?
Same as the other one. The reason it's a separate change order is because these are separate grants. So it's the same background as the last one.
You also didn't write that contract?
Correct.
Sorry for putting y'all through mundane stuff, but I just want everybody to understand, he was handed a steamer here and he's trying to sort it out.
And when you refer to different grants, this one goes under the VDH grant, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And which we were told what to do for that.
Yes, ma'am.
And so is this also back to 2021, also just for clarification for the public?
Correct.
All right, thank you. Any other questions?
Just also for clarification, you said this is change order number 2?
Yes.
Okay,
Same
it's just
time.
listed as number 1 in the packet, that's all. I'm
Yeah,
just,
I apologize.
just for clarification, that's all.
All right, do I have a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just to clarify, because it wasn't linked, and this was before my time and before Mr. Stewart's time as well, is this the same contract we're talking about here?
Yeah.
Same contract?
It is.
Same contract. Okay, so this would be change order number 2 then?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Yes, ma'am. I move to authorize the Service Authority General Manager to execute change order number 2 to the King George Hop Yard to the Courthouse Interconnection Contract Administrative Services Agreement with Rommel, Klepper, and Call, RK&K, in the amount of $94,907, subject to the approval of the county attorney.
Second.
The motion properly seconded. Any further discussion?
Yes,
Mr. Collins?
again, another change order for $94,000. So these original contracts, obviously weren't done correctly. And this seems to be a pattern here in King George. There's always the contingency that every contractor goes after. There was no, in this change order, there were no surprises. And so why it wasn't included, I have no idea. But, that's all.
Mr. Solms?
So when you and I spoke, you mentioned that this is all ARPA money except for a small portion of it. And if we don't spend it, it's going to go revert back to the source anyway, right?
That's correct.
And so how much is the county out of pocket on this?
Roughly half of this one, but the ARPA funds cover half of this one and all of the other one.
Okay, and does the person who drafted this contract work for us anymore?
They are retired.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? All right, with that, we had closed discussion. I will do a roll call vote. Mr. Robotham?
Aye.
Mr. Collins?
Nay.
Mr. Solms?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up is King George County Service Authority Monthly Report. Not Mr. Mark Bowden, Mr. John Simmons from Bowden Environmental Services. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My presentation tonight will be brief. The month of October, we received no violations in the wastewater treatment plants. All of the water systems are running well, and that really concludes it. Not a lot going on this month. We are going into the cold weather, so we're expecting some changes with that, but we'll make adjustments as necessary, but really no issues right at this time. Does anybody have any questions?
Does anybody have any questions?
I do not.
All right, thank you.
Thank
It's
you
so
all.
nice to hear a small report, and we're good.
That's nice. That's good news, isn't it?
I appreciate it, and thank you, and Bowden as always. And I mean that, John, and Bowden as a whole, and all your staff. Thank you. After that presentation, we will have a discussion, Bowman Engineering proposal for the Dahlgren wastewater treatment plant repair and upgrades project. Mr. Bryce Young and Mr. Hamilton be on deck for questions.
Chairman Binder, if it's all right, I think I'd prefer to handle this than rather
Okay,
than put
that-
Bryce on the spot. He's already had enough fire today.
Go ahead, Mr. Hamilton.
As I'm sure you folks are aware, I just received this, or the board is aware in any case, I just received this proposal on Friday. Late in the day. I apologize for sending it to you in the middle of today. There's a reason it's not on the agenda as an action item because I needed to review it more carefully, and I'm certainly not prepared to recommend approving it. However, this is a necessary service. It's related to a couple things that Mr. Collins has already touched on that I'll circle back to in a minute in my report. But in any case, the Dahlgren wastewater plant and the $4 million bond sale that I believe took place just around the time I was employed here back in July, we need to begin to implement the use of that money to make the upgrades to the Dahlgren wastewater plant, which is the largest plant in the county and certainly a critical piece of our infrastructure. Bowman is the firm, I believe, that prepared and submitted a report to you all with recommendations for a series of upgrades that need to take place at that plant. This is, in fact, basically the initial, what I'll call the initial part of that, but it's a final design proposal for what they're calling the immediate needs priority, things that need to be done right now before we can begin the remaining upgrades. And this was spurred not only by the sense of urgency and with respect to the bond money and the fact that we need to make use of that. We didn't, sell those bonds to keep that money in the bank. It has a specific purpose, and a timeline. But in any case, within the last few weeks, we identified a leak at the wastewater plant in our recycled wastewater line that was making itself evident by showing up in the lift station that basically supplies all of the wastewater into the plant. And part of the reason that that leak was important to note is because it was leaking into that wet well through concrete that's in a state of imminent failure. And this is a critical piece of the plant that obviously we can't take out of service. So it was time to spur action, and I asked Bowman to provide a structural engineer, and they've done that, and they're actually going to be there on Friday to investigate that with some sophisticated cameras and other things and recommend a short-term repair. And that was within my delegated authority and not part of this proposal, but it's information we need to carry on with this proposal because we kind of have to take this in a step-by-step basis. So in any case, I just wanted to bring this to your attention tonight, give everybody an opportunity to read it. I'm going to be going through it with Bryce, Mr. Young, and circling back with Bob from Bowman, and I hope to, within the 2 weeks, refine this if there's anything that needs to be changed and get it back on the agenda for approval because we do need to move forward with. The current proposal, I believe, is for $312,000. This would also be funded by that bond money. Let me just make sure, since I'm on the record here. Yep, $312,345, and it basically has a term of approximately 32 weeks, and it's a not-to-exceed price. But there's some things I need to work through with them before we take action on this proposal. However, this is critical stuff. We need to do this first so that we can, look to the longer-term upgrades to spend the remaining money as much as we can and seek more funding if necessary to complete the upgrades that are necessary at the Dahlgren plant. So that's really all I'm prepared to offer at the moment. Again, I apologize for submitting it to you late, but I was certainly not expecting you to have had the opportunity to read it and or process it and or ask questions and then have a vote this evening. So with any luck, we'll get this back on the agenda for Tuesday, December the 3rd, and try to move forward then.
Thank you. Does anybody have any specific questions? I know we've seen the original and the issues at that plant, and this is just another example of old non-maintenance that is caught up to us now. Would that be a fair statement, Mr. Hamilton?
Absolutely. The infrastructure in that plant was not designed in a manner that facilitates taking things out of service to do maintenance on them and or repair them. And with anything like this, this is often a problem where you can't take it out of service. We don't have another wastewater plant to operate in the interim while we fix things here. So it's going to be a very carefully measured program of setting up bypass systems, temporary storage tanks, whatever is necessary in order to be able to service existing pieces of the infrastructure before we can begin to upgrade it. And as you just noted, this is kind of a companion to the report that was presented back in July. Probably what I will do between now and the next meeting, or when I bring this back to you for approval, is sort of create a cheat sheet with bullet points from that report and then compare this to that, so you sort of know where that fits in, if that makes sense.
No, it does, and I appreciate it. And next up now is, since you got the mic, General Manager's report, and the one thing I would like you to talk about too is the Dahlgren sludge press.
All right, well, as Chair Bender just noted, we had purchased, before my time here, I'm not even sure when you all bought this, but a replacement solids press that is sort of the last piece of the process at the plant, which collects solids and processes them, dewaters them so they can be shipped to the landfill and distributed there. The new press was scheduled to arrive back in October. We knew we were not going to be prepared to install it in October, but we had made arrangements with the rigging company to receive it because this thing weighs 15,000 pounds. We're talking about something the size of a small tank. I mean a military tank, not a water tank. Not being an expert on that. But we had planned to have that delivered the first week in November. Of course, we had an election and a holiday there, so we ended up, and we had planned to have it delivered last Wednesday, which it was delivered. And our maintenance staff worked with a rigging company out of Woodbridge, Virginia, to remove the existing press, which was taken out of service. It meant disconnecting the existing electric, water, compressed air, all those types of things, and removing this from a building basically through a garage door. That was done, and the new device was installed into the building last Wednesday. There was some minor damage to a piece of the equipment when it was installed that was damaged by the rigging company. That's going to be a fairly minor thing to resolve, but it's a fact of life. So in any case, the maintenance staff has been working almost continuously this week on reconnecting the electric, the water, and the compressed air services. We expect to have a factory rep here next Monday. This is the Monday before Thanksgiving, to help us reinstall the motor that was damaged and do the startup on the unit. And we're also going to have an engineering inspection so we can get a certificate to operate from DEQ and get this thing back in service promptly, because again, we can only go so long without the ability to process solids at the plant. We kind of forecasted 2 weeks. We're about a week in, and with any luck, we're going to have this running and ready by the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So I certainly, I owe a debt of gratitude and thanks to the staff, the maintenance staff. John Eisenbeiss and his team have taken on a lot, and frankly, had I been here when this was envisioned, I probably would have discouraged staff internally from trying to take on this project. It really doesn't leave anybody left to do much of the daily things that need to be done. However, we're playing the cards we've been dealt, and it's progressing fine. I expect it to be in service by the middle of next week, and hopefully we're not going to have any major issues. I don't anticipate any issues getting the plant started back. I mean, the plant is working now. We're just not processing solids, but we should be good to go. So I'm happy to answer any questions about that, and then I'll give you a couple other quick updates and turn things back over to you folks.
Does anyone have any questions? And I could tell you, as being part of that team, part of it was cutting down on costs.
Understood.
Because we did not want to add to the citizens' bills or debt.
Right. Understood. Are there any other questions before I sort of comment on this? So as Mr. Collins was just pointing out, when proposals like this are anticipated and planned and then approved and administered, particularly long-term projects like an upgrade to a wastewater plant or a large-scale pipeline project, there are requests for information and other things that come through that need to be processed and approved by a professional engineer that did the design. And submitting a proposal, accepting a proposal that doesn't include design services during construction or engineering services during construction was very short-sighted. And in my opinion, this really isn't a change order. This should have been considered a separate contract. But of course, that would screw up our funding mechanism. So, I understand your point, sir. And if I have anything to do about moving forward, when we have plans like this and programs like this, which we're certainly going to have, we're going to need to envision, anticipate, and quantify the cost to have engineering services during constructions, because we simply don't have the staff. Bryce cannot review every one of the requests for information that comes in on these proposals. I cannot either, not and do anything else. So I envision a time in the near future where maybe we begin to build some staff who are capable of taking on some of these roles, like inspection, or maybe we can limit the amount we spend on engineering services during construction. But I think it's important to pay attention to the point Mr. Collins made. And really, again, this is something that the table was set 4 or 5 years ago, and now we're faced with it. So, you know, my goal, at least here as your new GM, is to be able to envision those types of issues and help you anticipate them, rather than cut a corner that I know we can't cut just to get it done, because it sets us up for problems. If we didn't have anybody reviewing this, we would really be at the mercy of the contractor, and that's, you know, you need somebody who is theoretically not compensated for decision-making with respect to that, you know, has the right qualifications. And I'm sure many of the folks in this room who work at Dahlgren are probably familiar with that type of contract management and administration. So in any case, if there are any more questions about that, I will certainly update you. I do have some pictures. Obviously, this evening we don't have the benefit of a large screen, and I didn't email a PowerPoint with pictures of the installation and what was done. But if anybody ever has any questions, you know, again, as I said at the last meeting, my goal is to be transparent. I don't want to do things in secret. I have no intention of doing things in secret. If you want to know what's going on and you want to see some pictures, or you would like a tour, ask, and I can potentially offer you that. There are probably times we don't want you there. I didn't really want to be around there when there was people with a crane lifting up a 15,000-pound machine and trying to get it into a building in a safe fashion, but that's what they do professionally, and they assume the risk, and they'll have to deal with the fact that they damaged one of the drive motors, a minor part, and we'll get it straightened out. So in any case, moving on from that, in terms of my report, when we spoke last, I know one of the open items that I also owed Mr. Collins and the rest of the board was an update on what I'm doing with pursuing grant and technical assistance funding. At the end of last week, I forwarded you an email, but I just wanted to put it on the record. I am in the process of pursuing some grant and funding opportunities, as well as loan programs, although I'm not suggesting that we're engaging in that right now, that were presented to me at a workshop by the Department of Health, the Virginia Department of Health, at the end of September. I attended this function. There were a number of other utilities there and other agencies and people who are not in the utility world, but were also interested in these programs. But there is technical assistance offered for rate studies that is funded by an organization called the Southeast Rural Community Assistance Program. They have a lot of programs that may be useful to us in the future, but I'm in the process of pursuing that. There is also a facility development grant program which provides assistance for funding assistance for things like a leak detection study, which is something that we are trying to set in place to help us identify some of the issues we have in the Dahlgren water system, where we are producing more water than we are billing by a significant amount, and I need to work that out. I'm going to come back to that in a second. There's also another organization that was part of this funding workshop called the Water Infrastructure Environmental Finance Center, and it actually involves organizations from not only the University of Maryland, but also organizations in Virginia. There is a nonprofit that's affiliated with them called Moonshot Missions that also could potentially provide funding for a rate and revenue analysis, which again is something I think that we're in desperate need of. That does not mean I'm talking about a rate increase, but it does mean that we need to be conscious of the fact that there is inflation impacting everything from diesel fuel to electricity to data and all things that a utility needs, and we need to be looking at that as we come up not only with the fiscal year 2027 budget, but a long-range capital improvement budget. So beyond that, I just have a couple of quick things to report. We have not had any water leaks, I don't believe, since I spoke to you two weeks and a day ago, because we met on the Monday before the election. However, we have had 2 sewer overflows. One of them was on the grounds of the hop yard plant during the construction project. It was fairly minor, and it was cleaned up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was identified, which was, you know, a period of less than 24 hours. It was reported to the state of Virginia and properly remediated. That happened, I believe, on the Tuesday of either the Election Day or the Veterans Day, and forgive me for not remembering which date. And then the Thursday after Veterans Day, we had another sanitary sewer overflow. A pedestrian who was walking in the area of the hop yard plant noticed something bubbling up out of the ground and contacted the sheriff's department, who contacted our staff, and they responded and identified an asset, basically an air release valve that's on our force main, that was not known to exist. It was not in our geographic information system. We didn't know it was there, but it was damaged probably many years ago and had been buried and not maintained, and apparently it began to leak at some point because it hadn't been serviced, probably within a few days of when somebody saw it. We responded in the middle of the night. Less than 100 gallons of sanitary sewage was discharged in the area. Again, we capped off the leaking device, removed it, remediated the area, vacuumed it up, applied lime, and contacted the state to report it. And we're going to have to dig that back up later and install a new device there. But not water leaks, but similarly, obviously, we have sewer in a collection system that's moving around the county, and you should be aware that these types of things require response. And in fact, there was quite a bit of overtime and people working from 10 o'clock at night till 4 o'clock in the morning on the Thursday after the holiday to get that straightened out. Otherwise, I am continuing to pursue pricing on a water audit for the Dahlgren system. I've been in touch with and am still looking to get proposals from a company called American Leak Technologies, as well as another one called 540 Technologies that's out of Pennsylvania. American Leak is actually here in Virginia, as well as elsewhere. Chair Binder, I know when we spoke 2 weeks ago, you also asked about the sub-metering program. I've begun to kind of dig into the research on that. I pulled out the proposal, or at least the proposed information that you were provided by Mr. Rasavi. I've got a couple of emails out to them about what they're offering, and my plan at this point is to identify the 10 customers where we're going to do the pilot program before the end of the calendar year. And then probably as soon as the weather breaks in the spring, we'll try to get them installed. Again, I'm not sure that folks had thought through the fact that a meter on a sub-meter that measures water that is not going into the sewer, i.e. irrigation or something like that, doesn't work with our existing automated meter system. So we're going to have to figure out how we're going to read those and then how we're going to do the math to deduct that, potentially deduct that from their use and make calculations on impacts to revenue and things like that. But I know it was something you had asked about, and I just wanted to give you an update on that.
And Mr. Hamilton, I also brought up,
yes, ma'am.
since you brought that up, at the election, I had quite a few folks that came up and asked me many questions. And believe it or not, there is a little confusion maybe about water rates, and I had discussed this about you. Some folks feel that they get charged more in certain locations, and so I had said I was going to, I forgot earlier, I was going to ask you that question, so for the public, you could clarify.
You did bring that to my attention, and I know I provided you with kind of a summary sheet of our rates. Unfortunately, I wasn't prepared for that and did not bring it with me, but I will say for the record that there is no variation in the rate that is charged to any King George County Service Authority customer in terms of the water rate for the people in the Dahlgren system versus the Presidential Lake system. No matter what system you're on, you're paying the same price per 1,000 gallons of water, and you're paying the same price for 1,000 gallons of wastewater, and you are paying the same, what's now called debt fee, that I would suggest we eventually begin to call a base rate. That doesn't vary from system to system. So there is no, each system is not individually self-supporting. The service authority itself is an enterprise fund and is supported by all of its users, and the rates don't vary. And I apologize for not having that information in my hand.
No, that's okay.
It's certainly available on the website, though, or again, if somebody has a question, please encourage them to call me.
That's okay. You explained it exactly how, you explained it to me on the phone, and so that the citizens could hear it on the record, because believe it or not, I had over 5 people ask that question for me. It was like Hop Yard compared to Presidential Lakes or Claydale. So thank you for saying that on the record.
You're welcome.
Continue on.
Sure. So just last, I wanted to circle back. I know we've talked a lot about the changes in the billing system, or at least in the payment collection system, and I hope this will probably be the last time I feel the need to bring it up during my report. But as I told you 2 weeks ago, we made that change effective Friday night, November the 1st, I think it was, or October the 31st was a Friday, November the 1st was a Saturday. There was a little glitch that first weekend where we didn't have things set up properly for the phone payment system to work. That's been resolved, and frankly, from my sitting in the office listening to the number of phone calls that come in from people who are struggling with the fact that they can't deal with auto pay or make a phone payment, there seems to be no problem at the moment. And I don't want to say there are no problems, zero, but the volume of phone calls about that, I would estimate, has decreased by about 90%. Now, we're just about this week to send out the next bi-monthly bills. I'm sure there will be more activity from people who are receiving bills and trying to pay bills, but to the best of my knowledge, there are no issues at this point with people trying to make a payment and having it immediately show up in their account record that they can see in the muni billing system, and or set up auto pay and or make a phone payment. And again, as always, we will continue to take those payments by mail, and make sure that the treasurer's office is getting the money and getting it in our accounts. So if there's no other questions, I think that'll conclude my report for today. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to the citizens of King George County and our customers. It's an honor and a privilege. And as I said last time, I'm going to try to say every time, water doesn't divide us, it unites us. Let's remember that. It's a necessity for us all.
All right, Mr. Collins?
So my suggestion, Mr. Hamilton, to you, and hopefully the board will have a consensus on this matter, is to create a legislative agenda for our senator and our delegate, so they can bring home the money like they did last time. So our senator brought us a lot of money for our wastewater water problems. So if you could, if the board agrees, Mr. Hamilton, prepare a legislative agenda that we can pass on to our legislators so we can bring home some more money. Is there a consensus?
Is there a consensus for that? It's a no-brainer.
I know, but you gotta ask.
That's true. Thank you for bringing it up, Mr. Collins.
By December 3rd?
Excuse me?
I will tell you, Mr. Collins, I know Senator Stewart has already taken our Bowman engineering report and was looking at it. That's how I'll put it.
Sir, it sounds to me like an excellent idea. I don't want to commit to a date this evening. I will make every effort to present something to you before your term ends at the end of the year, and I'll certainly coordinate with Senator Stewart and whoever else I should.
It's not for me.
I understand, but I want you to know that I'm going to follow through whether you're here or not, because I know you'll be here, even if you're not sitting in that chair.
It also might be a good idea if you have an opportunity to talk to Senator Stewart and Hillary Pugh Kent, our delegate, in person, so you can help build that rapport, so you can have contact with them at all times, because they're very willing to help.
I appreciate that, and I'm sure that would pay dividends, and I know I'll be seeking the board's assistance with that. I am going to be attending a few events over the next month and a half that will include some of those people. I think I'm going to attend something with Chair Bender over in the next county. I can't think of the town that it's going to be in early December, and there will be some of those people there. And in any case, creating an agenda and having a dialogue is certainly something I can do, and I will keep the board in the loop and you as well.
So on these legislative agendas, when we have a legislative agenda for, let's say, specifically the wastewater and the water, it's specifically for this county, and so our representatives will get money specifically for us. So it's not an agenda for the entire state to do, to get other people money. It's specifically for us, and they've been very successful in that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hamilton, is that any other questions for Mr. Hamilton? All right, and that meeting is the Rappahannock River Basin Commission, and that's in Caroline County.
There are two, but that is certainly one of them, yes.
Yes, and there'll be a lot of other delegates there too, and state senators.
There's the Virginia Municipal Water Agency meeting as well, I believe. I think it's in Williamsburg or near there.
Yeah, the VAMWA.
Yep.
So thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Now we'll move on to secondary public comment to address meeting items only. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person. In order to afford everyone an opportunity to speak, please provide your full name and district when submitting your public comment so that it can be properly recorded and included in the public record. Is there anybody who would like to come up and give public comment? Is there anybody online, Mr. Dines? Okay. Did anybody get any correspondence while they're up here? No, with that being said, we'll close public comment and now move on to adjournment. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion the Board of Directors adjourn to Tuesday, December the 2nd, 2025 at 5:30 PM in the boardroom of the Rivercombe Building located at 10459 Courthouse Drive, King George, Virginia 22485.
Second. I have a motion properly second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That concludes the Service Authority portion of our program. Mr. Davis.
Thank you. Next up, we have public hearing 11-08. The King George County Board of Supervisors now hold a public hearing that has been properly advertised to receive public input regarding utility scale solar facility siting agreement for special exception application Z-2024-00240. Utility scale solar facility located on certain real property in the county identified as County Tax Map 8-1. I'll first ask the staff to report. I'll then open the floor for public comment. Public comments at that time will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Please state your name, where you vote, to give everyone a chance so they can be on the public record. Upon completion of public comment, bring the matter back to the board for consideration. Mr. Smolnick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. So this public hearing is a follow-up to the Monday, September 3rd public hearing where the board approved a special exception for the utility scale solar facility on tax map 8-1. Since the September 3rd meeting, myself, Charlie, Mr. Clark, and we've got the applicants, Tyler and Jeff, we've had several in-person meetings along with numerous phone calls regarding the siting agreement. And I want to take this time to really thank both Tyler and Jeff for their hard work on this project. 21 years local government, it's not every day we get to deal with, applicants as cordial as them and really looking to put a good product forward to the locality. And where we're at tonight, I'm very comfortable and I think they've done that. So this is a 22 megawatt facility, and there's there's two options in front of you. One is a one-time upfront payment, and the other is spread out over 15 years. I know a lot of work was done with the gentleman as recently as this weekend. And Monday, we got the two different options back from them. The one-time payments are based on a per megawatt. And these gentlemen with this project wanted King George County to be at the top of the list. So, based on the information that I've got, the highest per megawatt contribution out there that's been approved was $25,000. They said, we want to put King George #1 in the Commonwealth. So they're offering $26,000. The project that they're beating is their own project, where they offer $25K per megawatt in another locality. So, with this siting agreement, $26K per megawatt, one-time upfront payment, $572,000. And there's another option for the board, spread out over a 15-year period, and that would be $785,310 spread out over 15 years. Both payments commence within 6 months of the commercial operation date, which is when the facility is up and running and able to sell electricity. And this is on top of the deemed revenue share payments that are spread out over 40 years. Those payments total $1,937,239.50. So even with a more conservative number with the upfront payment, you're a little north of $2.5 million in payments to the county. My recommendation to the board would be, the one-time upfront payment of $572,000. This is for discussion amongst the board members. But again, I am now comfortable with the siting agreement that accompanies the special exception that was approved on September 3rd. And at the appropriate time, I'll be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
I have a comment. So I spoken to Mr. McGilvery today on the phone, and one of the parts of the last motion was no construction on Saturdays and Sundays. And like to bring it back up to strike the Saturdays. I understand the Sundays, but if you have workers that it rains or it's bad weather for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and they're not making money. So I see nothing wrong with them working on Saturdays, making up time.
Mr. Chair, if we could, let's take up, let's go ahead and take up the siding agreement, the discussion of that.
All right.
And at the conclusion, I think, at that point, if you want to open up discussion and add that under, it's obviously not on the agenda, but it's related enough that I think it's appropriate to take that up at the conclusion of this. I don't want to stick something unrelated that wasn't advertised in the middle of the public hearing, but we can certainly take that up afterwards.
Right. It wasn't advertised the first time we did it either. When we put it in there.
That's correct.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Collins?
so according to our bylaws, anyone that was in the yay can, the next meeting, has to be the next meeting, can bring it up for, to be reheard. So you would be in your authority to do that.
Thank you.
Agreed.
But right now, we're talking about which package we would like, are we looking at the 15 years, 785, or are we looking at the upfront, the one-time upfront of 572?
Is the applicant going to speak?
We're talking about this first, I'll bring him up in a second. Vitaly, you can come up. But this is our discussion point right here before he comes up.
Good evening.
Hey, Tyler, how are you?
Good. How are y'all doing?
Good.
Standing up, just in response to the question about the construction aspect or the site.
Or just anything, the floor is open to you to speak.
Yeah, just want to start off, really want to thank you all and thank Mr. Smolnik and Mr. Clark and all of the meetings and phone calls and negotiations that we've had over the past couple of weeks. You know, we feel like it's good spot for the project and a good spot for the county, and we're happy to come to the conclusion that we did on that. I think in terms of what you were talking about construction-wise, we certainly wouldn't want anything to be reopened, like, you know, a hearing on the project to have to be reopened. And so, you know, we'd be comfortable with however you guys wish to proceed on that.
All right.
Could I ask the applicant a question?
Yes, you can.
So during your discussions with everyone, you had an opportunity to talk to them about our career technical education program?
Yes, sir. It was something that Mr. Smolnik brought up during the negotiation.
And I didn't see any numbers in here in regards to that.
So the 507, you know, if it's a year one payment, the $572,000, we would personally be happy to see that go towards VOTEC or any other type of vocational program, or really whatever would please the county. But that wouldn't be something that we would necessarily want to earmark in the siting agreement, because it's something that's under the purview of the county to allocate that.
I was talking about extra. I wasn't talking about the 572.
Understood. At this point, the project, through the negotiations, met all of the asks from the county for that, and any additional contributions on top of that would potentially make the cost of the power generated by the facility at risk of being uncompetitive, and the project could be at risk of not being built as a result.
So talks with the county didn't include me in regards to that particular subject.
Understood. Talks with Mr. Smolnik.
And remember what I asked you earlier?
No, sir.
So I'm not talking about the 572. I'm talking about something separate. So, you know, you're going to have this system down there, and, you know, the solar, and also, you know, there's going to be a data center in Dahlgren. So we are trying to build our CTE program where we can have people that are local that can work at these facilities. And so that's what I was asking for, was a a stipend for the CTE program.
Understood. We're obviously very supportive of CTE programs and any other type of vocational program, specifically as they result to the electrical fields. But the project just simply, it would put the project at a disadvantage to the point, any additional funds on top of what was already offered would put the project at a disadvantage to the point that it would not be able to be constructed.
So $30,000 or $40,000, you wouldn't be able to make any money then? Is that what you're saying?
There would be a risk there, yes, sir.
I believe you. Thank you.
Ms. Pender?
I did want to say something positive, because I know I'm hard on solar, but once again, as we said about Dahlgren West, we want people in our community that are willing to do the right thing and to the best of their ability. And so I do thank you for that. All the industry is not bad. It's just, at least for me, you want to be part of the community, and I think you have demonstrated that. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I may, so some points of clarification. During the discussions amongst the four gentlemen on the siting agreement, we did talk about the VOTEC building and possible programs that could be in that building once it is constructed. We felt that the money that is with a one-time payment, it is open-ended. The county could spend that any way they wanted, and that could be towards the VOTEC building or towards VOTEC programs. If you limit it to a very specific use and that project did not come into fruition, that would be money that the county would be out. So in our negotiations, we felt it was safer to leave it more open-ended and tied into the one-time payment that's on the table right in front of you.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Collins?
So I wasn't talking about, so the 572 can be spent any way the county, this board deems necessary. And I wasn't asking for a proffer, by the way. I was telling you what our need was, that in our CTE, our need will be to have local people working at these facilities.
Ms. Pender?
I just was relooking at the siting agreement, and I just wanted to clarify for myself and for others, what is your definition of the commercial operation date? Second? Right, well, where I'm coming from is, you can interpret that many ways, but it has, this payment due within 6 months after the commercial operation date. So is that when everything is up and going, or is that from when you, what is the actual exact definition of that?
Yes, ma'am. In layman's terms, it's when the project is turned on and producing power to the grid.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure to clarify that, because sometimes you read that and it could be many different things, so thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So I would open up the floor to public comment. I've already read the rules. Mr. Shaw, you're up.
James Shaw, James Monroe District, speaking in my capacity as a member of the Economic Development Authority. The work of bringing competitive businesses and industry into the county to aid in the heavy lifting of seemingly a never-ending county expenses and services, these kind of things take time. In the end, one sees the beginning of the contributions of these corporate entities. This will be in an agreement such as we have before you this evening. You see there either a payment schedule or a payment, and this is part of a long-term relationship that is being established here this evening. In addition to the previous approval. We trust that both parties will now amicably contribute, and we got a hint of that, that camaraderie to this ongoing effort so that we can receive photons snatched from the ether, and through the magic of electrical engineering, alternating current gets fed into the local county grid and is later flowing out of your wall outlets, or perhaps in a more earthy kind of way, supplied to the service authority so that water and sewer services can be provided. So again, vote yes for this agreement as all of these pieces come together so that this hybrid solar and agricultural use of the land may proceed. May God bless the King George Renaissance. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak?
Brian Metz, James Monroe District, Overlook Drive. Apologize for not signing the sheet earlier. Sometimes as you get to reading through these and you guys ask questions, it prompts another follow-on question. This isn't about the upfront versus regular payments. I'm sure Mr. Smolnick has done the net present value and makes a good recommendation on that. I do like reoccurring revenue, though, as a taxpayer. Down in the revenue share portion of the agreement, there's a table and it says years of commercial operation. I believe that's based on Virginia state law that started actually a couple of years back and has a 10% escalator starting in 2026. If you could just confirm with the applicant, year of commercial operation is assigned to 2026 and on. So if there is a delay in the start, the revenue here would be escalated based on the Virginia code date, not the year of commercial operation date. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Is there anyone online? Any correspondence? None? All right, I will close public comment at this time. Tyler, you want to come up and answer questions? I'll open it back up to you.
Yes, sir. On the rev share, that's correct. It's 1540 per megawatt, so that's assuming a 2026 commercial operation date, but that's all set by state statute. And so whenever the commercial operation date is, that table would just be modified based on the state statute.
Does anyone else have any questions, Mr. Tyler?
So, Mr. Metz brought up a good point, and I don't understand exactly, because I don't know that code section. So I would like more explanation.
Yes, sir. So energy revenue share assesses taxation based on a per megawatt basis. Starting in 2026, $1,540 per megawatt. That's not something that this county has adopted, but as part of our siting agreement, we're offering the higher of either machinery and tools tax, which is how the facility would be taxed, I believe, based on the county's ordinance, or energy revenue share. And energy revenue share is generally a higher number than that. And so I think only year 11, machinery and tools tax will be higher. But otherwise, energy revenue share tax will be the higher of the two numbers over the 40-year life.
Any other questions?
That's clear as mud.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Maybe Mr. Metz could come up here and sit in my spot for a minute.
So I'm going to bring it back to the board for discussion. You have any feedback, Mr. Stroud?
Regarding the working on Saturday topic? No.
Any that we spoke about so far, even the upfront fee, the upfront payment, or the payment stretched out over the 15 years?
So, I support the upfront payment option on that side. Then I guess I'll hold my other comment until we finish this part before we move on.
All right.
Thank you.
Ms. Bender?
I would also support the advance payment you know, it's a 40 years and we don't know what the technology is going to be, so I'd rather have it up front to make sure that we get it.
Mr. Collins?
So you're talking about the upfront of 700-some thousand?
No, the upfront of 500 and some thousand.
72.
Yeah, 572,000 upfront, or it's around 785 over the 15 years.
Yes,
You're about as clear as mud, too.
572.
All right. Mr. Sullins?
I like the upfront proposal, and I've got a motion when you're ready.
Is it being
We'll have to
closed?
close the public hearing first.
Yep.
Any other discussion?
And Mr. Chair, I'm having a little bit of a hard time with the speakers. You did close public
I
comment,
have not.
correct?
I did close public comment, yes.
Okay.
I have
And
not
yes,
clo-
but
I
we
have
need to
not
close
closed-
public hearing.
Yeah, I haven't closed public hearing yet.
Thank
Mr. Sullins is ahead of me.
Always.
Any other comments on this? Are you hearing the direction of the board? I think it's pretty unanimous to go with the upfront. Okay? Do we need to deal with any other parts of this that I brought up earlier now?
Mr. Chairman,
Hold on 1 second.
My understanding is the applicant does not want any change in condition to the construction. They're fine with the way it
Okay,
was adopted.
good. Mr. Collins?
so when the motion's read, could it be read to the extent of what it actually means, the 572?
What's the exact number? Is it 572 perfectly? Okay. All right, so at this time, I will close the public hearing. I'll bring the matter back to the board for a vote. Mr. Sullins has the motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve and have the executive execute the Caledon Solar LLC siting agreement for a proposed solar generation facility as presented, with the upfront voluntary payment option of $572,000 due within 6 months after commercial operation date, and find the project to be substantially in accord with the King George County Comprehensive Plan.
Second.
Motion probably second. Any further discussion?
Yes, I do have a question. This has come up a couple of times. Why do we have to keep putting in the comprehensive plan, especially for the siting agreement?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Clark?
What was the question, sir?
Basically, my question was, this is something that we just recently did, especially the solar. Why, especially for and also the siting agreement, why do we have to keep saying it is in accordance with the comprehensive plan?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
it's in state code that you need to have that statement. It was done during the last meeting, so the condition, that's been satisfied. That's been satisfied. I think perhaps Mr. Sullins was being extra careful.
Well, I would like that, I do not agree with the motion with that in it.
You did second? Mr. Stroud, second? So we'll vote by roll call.
One more discussion item.
Okay.
I'm disappointed that there was no additional money for the CTE program. Go ahead.
Mr. Collins, how do you vote?
Yay.
Nay?
Yay.
Yay.
Yay, 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 yay.
I couldn't understand you. Mr. Sullins?
Aye.
Mr. Stroud?
Aye.
Ms. Bender?
Nay, based on what I said previously.
Chair votes aye, motion passes. Thank you very much. Next up, we have action item 11-09, award of construction service agreement for King George High School synthetic turf field install. Ms. Levita Cobb.
All right, good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Levita Cobb, Director of Finance and Procurement. As some of you may recall, during our FY26 CIP process, the board approved the replacement of the field turf at the high school and appropriated funding in the amount of $866,109 for this project. The procurement team, in conjunction with Dr. Boyd and several other staff members, developed an RFP to solicit responses from qualified contractors to provide all services, labor, and materials necessary to remove and dispose of the existing turf and to install a new synthetic turf field. We received 4 proposals for this project. After evaluating the submissions, Halas was identified as the highest rated firm, a determination that was further confirmed following interviews with both Halas and the second-ranked proposer. This evening, I respectfully request that the board authorize the county administrator to execute an agreement with Halas in the amount of $809,560 approved as to form by the county attorney.
Chair, I do have some
Ms.
questions.
Bender?
Yes, since I know a lot of the history of the original turf and was there when they placed it in there, one of the things that we didn't do enough is that preventive maintenance. Is there in there that it's covered by the company to make sure that we get the most life out of this?
So I'm going to try to answer your questions best of my abilities. Dr. Boyd was supposed to be here. So from my understanding, this contract, they're going to use a shock pad versus infill, which is what has been used typically. And although infill is always cheaper, it does require more maintenance, and if you don't keep up with it, hence is why we're here today. However, with the shock pad, it's more durable and it has a longer lifespan. Upkeep is reduced significantly, and the thatch that's mixed with the fiber creates more of a natural grass feel. So the upkeep with this will be reduced because they're going to utilize the pad system.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure because it was at first maintained and then it wasn't really, in my opinion, maintained as it should have been.
I understand.
Mr. Solons?
Mr. Chair, on this one, I'm gonna have to agree with, Mr. Collins. I know we talked about this back in April, we put it on the SIP plan, but, this is something, just the nature of how much it costs. We've not had a discussion out of within the, in the previous meeting. I feel like we need to bring this back the next time around, have a presentation on what it is, what we're getting, what we're paying for, before we spend almost $1 million on it.
So you'd like to defer?
Yes, please.
Ms. Bender?
Yes, I agree with what they said, but I did want to give out one other clarifying is that from my understanding and watching kids play in the fall, in the spring, it is a little bit of a safety concern. So having it on the agenda the next time so that we can make a move on it, I worry about the kids in the spring to make sure, I mean, one of a high concussion, football, soccer, to make sure our kids are safe.
Right, and that is the case too. Well, that is one of the instances. But the intention is to have the final completion prior to the start of spring sports, so like late February. So timing is of the essence as well.
How long does the process take?
They said it takes 20 to 30 days for ordering, and then construction period is 60 days.
So 80 days?
Yeah, so we still probably still have a little wiggle room.
A little bit.
Well, it's hard to hear down here. I couldn't, what's the reason for the hesitancy?
The fact that the price and the fact that we haven't even had a chance to look at it, we don't know anything about the project, so.
Some of the questions that we're asking right now, like how, what's the timeline? How long does it take? What's the process? What's the warranty look like? What are we gonna get out of this? These are things that I feel like should have been presented for the public's interest.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Collins?
this is directed at Ms. Fish. So, when I was on the school board, I was told many occasions that this money was put aside in the activity fund to pay for the turf replacement. So far, being on the Board of Supervisors, everybody doesn't know what happened to that money. So, Ms. Fish, I'm going to request a FOIA for the activity fund for the schools for the past 8 years.
I think I can answer your question. So it was not in the activity fund at all. What it was is that money was earmarked in the unassigned fund balance with the county. And so when you brought that up the last time, I did speak to Mr. Smolnick. I said, Mr. Collins is absolutely right. I believe it was 400 and something thousand that was earmarked for that. And so it was just in our fund balance, and because it was earmarked, you just carry it over year to year.
So there's still 400+ thousand in there for this project?
Right, and it was in the CIP fund balance, and so we just basically added additional money to come up with the 866-109, in which you all approved for the CIP.
So how much money from the activity fund was put into the, to this account that was supposed
To my knowledge, zero. If there is money in the activity fund, I couldn't tell you because the county doesn't oversee that.
I know. That's a big problem. The activity fund is kind of like a slush fund, for the schools. It doesn't get reported, with the rest of the audit, by the way. So we don't know what happened to that money.
Do we know there was money there at all?
Well, we know that, the activity fund is, comes from all the ticket sales, all the, concessions, so we know that there's a large amount of money that comes in the activity fund. We know that. We just don't know, how much was brought in and where it went. So that's what my FOIA is. I think Ms. Fish wrote it down, and she can send it to the appropriate authority to get that information.
So at this time, do we have any other questions? Or do I
No,
have-
sir, but
or do I
just,
have a motion?
it was going to be deferred, I thought.
If that's the motion, there needs to be a motion made on that, isn't it?
Mr. Chair, I move that we defer action item 11-09 to the next meeting, have it brought back with a presentation, and plan to vote on it at that time.
I'll second that.
Motion properly second. Any further discussion?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Collins,
Can I make a friendly amendment?
you mentioned yes.
We can bring it back for a vote after I receive the FOIA. I don't want to vote on something if I don't have the information.
You think, will we have the FOIA by then?
Well, they only have so many days to produce it.
Yeah, they got all kinds of loopholes to get out of it too.
And they, in order to ask for extension, they gotta ask me. And I'm not gonna extend it.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Stroud, while we're waiting on that, can I ask a question, Ms.
Yes,
Cobb?
absolutely.
On the scope of work that was provided, there's, I don't, there was a back and forth between y'all and, Hellas on this, or?
I did not attend that meeting. That was strictly handled by the schools. That's why I said Dr. Boyd was supposed to be here to answer any questions that the board may have, and he didn't show up tonight, so.
Right, and let's request that Mr. Boyd be here at the next meeting, please. With any, and if we could get any kind of questions you want sent over to Mr. Smoldick, but from the board, so that he'll be prepared to answer those.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's what I was going to request. If you give me the questions in advance so we can adequately prepare and have those answers at the next meeting, I know my staff would appreciate that. Thank you.
We do that.
I can, if I get the information.
So I have a motion properly second, is that correct?
Well, we have
Correct.
we have not seconded the friendly amendment.
You wanna, let's pull yours and restate.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to retract my motion and restate it.
Yes, sir.
I move that we defer action item 11-09 until the next meeting, and that we bring it forth with a presentation, ready for a vote at that time. You got a friendly?
Friendly was, after we received the FOIA, I'll give you all the copy of the FOIA when I get it. You need a deposit tonight?
That's stated. I have a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion properly second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Chair votes aye, motion passes. All right, we have no discussion items. We have the county administrator report. Mr. Smolnick?
Very little to report on, sir. We had a good meeting last night at the work session. I did want to remind the Board of Supervisors and the general public of fire rescue, Recruit Academy number 6 graduation. It's going to occur on Friday night at the middle school, I believe 7 o'clock. I will confirm that with Chief, but just really the young men and women who have gone through the recent academy to serve the citizens of King George County. It's a great ceremony. I was there last year. I'll be there again this year. Just wanted to remind the board of that.
And what's the date of that again?
It's the 21st, this upcoming Friday evening.
Okay.
So if your schedules do allow, it's a wonderful ceremony to attend. And on top of that, I just wanted to, we've been talking as staff about multiple different RFPs going out, be it elevators, demolition of, the old VOTEC building. And, we do follow, and we will follow state procurement laws when it comes to the process. But, any of the local businesses who are out there watching or, just, word of mouth, these are on the county's websites, they're on the EVA website. When these notices go out, there will be several of them coming out. We anticipate early to mid-January for some of these. So really, if there are local businesses out there who can look at these and participate and submit a bid, you're more than welcome to. Love supporting our local businesses. With the understanding that we will follow state procurement laws, whenever it comes in. So. But just wanted to put that out there as a friendly reminder. I'd like to do business locally if we can. Other than that, I think I'm all set, Mr. Chairman. We had a good meeting last night. Nothing else to report.
Thank you. I'll open up the floor to second public comment. Do I have anyone in the audience that wants to speak? Is there anyone online? Any correspondence? None? Then I will close public comment. And I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adjourn the Board of Supervisors meeting to Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. in the boardroom of the Revercombe Building located at 10459 Courthouse Drive, King George, Virginia, 22485.
Second.
Motion properly second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.